Of the Neuse Sports Show, live and in color from downtown Kinston. I am Brian Hanks, the editor of Neuse News and your host for this little joyride every week that we call the Neuse Sports Show. My good friend over here to my left, your right. Wait a minute, what's your name again? Junius Smith III. I'm joking. Of course I know Junius. That's Junius Smith III. He is the sports guru of NeuseNews.com. How are you doing?
I'm good, but I wouldn't call myself the sports guru. I'm just a guy out there just handling business. That's all.
To me, you're the sports guru. And our very special guest this week, as you know on the show, this is our second edition of the 2019 season. Every week, we're going to have a special guest, and our very special guest is a very good friend of mine, a guy I've known for 17 years. He was with a newspaper in Goldsboro for, good Lord, for 30 years? 20 years. And now he is on the Neuse team. You saw us writing about it a couple of weeks ago. But Rudy Coggins, how you doing, Rudy?
Doing great, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, it's our honor to have you here. Am I right?
Definitely.
Absolutely. Before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors who are making this show possible this week. Lenore Community College's Quick Jobs Program. Wait a minute now. What hat am I wearing this week?
Yeah, I was about to say, he's even got a Lancer's hat.
That's right. Hey, Richie Honeycutt, look at this. I've got my LCC hat on this week. But we want to thank Lenore Community College, especially with their Quick Jobs Program. Provides training so you can get to work in less than 6 months.
And because LCC partners with area employers, you can find not only a job, but a new lifelong career.
Jobs currently in demand include heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, electrical wiring, energy distribution systems, manufacturing, truck driver training, and welding.
Tuition assistance may be available, as well as nationally recognized credentials.
It's a new year and a new you. Let LCC empower you to get the job and career you've always hoped for.
And to learn about those quick jobs, call 252-527-6223, extension 714, or enroll at lenorecc.edu/quickjobs.
Absolutely. We also want to thank KC Crop Insurance. They are here to serve all of your crop insurance needs. With more than 50 years of combined experience, they take pride in excellent customer service. Service, Junius. I was trying to say service and Junius at the same time.
I don't know how you can pull that off, but give the KC Crop Insurance team a call at 252-522-9613. That's 252-522-9613, and tell them that Neuse News sent you.
Absolutely. So while we're talking about Neuse News, be sure to subscribe to the Neuse News newsletter. If you haven't yet, you need to. It's absolutely free. Does not cost you a dime. It's in your inbox every day at 7 a.m. and it's full of today's headlines. Go to NeuseNews.com to subscribe. And I know we've also got a summit that's coming up.
Right. We do have the SM3 Summit that's coming up. So if you're an entrepreneur, a social media manager, or a marketing professional, you need to be at the SM3 Social Summit in Kinston on October 5th. We have speakers from across the state who will talk about how to go viral with your videos, how to sell, and how to market your brand, creating a social media calendar, and more. So go to sm3summit.com. That's sm3summit.com.
Very good. Listen, again, please support these sponsors, especially KC Crop Insurance, LCC. They are the reason we're able to put this show on every week, so thank you so much to them. Also to the big boss man, B.J. Murphy, for letting this happen. Well, what we do every week on this show is we take a look back at last week's games. We have our special guest, like I said before. It's Rudy Coggins, and then we'll preview all of this week's games. So let's jump into last week's games, Junius. The game of the week last week was a little bit more of a blowout than I thought it was going to be, but I tell you what, Kinston is for real, and they have a quarterback that's for real. They won 40-14 over Farmville Central last week. They were actually up 40-0 going into the fourth quarter before Farmville Central scored a couple of late touchdowns. They improved to 8-1 all time against the Jaguars. 40 points was the third most points scored in a season opener by the Vikings in program history. They've now won 13 consecutive regular season games. That's breaking a tie for a county record that the Vikings had held that had been established in 2014 and 15. And I'm telling you, I know we're just 1 week into it, Junius. We are already on Player of the Year watch. I know he was your Neuse News Athlete of the Week, not just Football Player of the Week, but Athlete of the Week. But Dimitri Holmes, 294 yards passing and 2 passing touchdowns along with a rushing touchdown, and didn't even come close to an interception. I tell you what, coming off of last year when we just had an amazing season by Kieran Hooker and honestly the best quarterback that I had seen in the Lenore County area since I got here in 2002, Dimitri Holmes has done a pretty good job of putting his name in that mix already with one game.
Without question. I mean, for somebody to come in 17-28, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, passing, a rushing touchdown, and he even had an interception on defense.
Mm-hmm. I forgot about that. And was excellent on defense too.
I mean, he came in last year. He was the backup quarterback, but he also played extensive stints at wide receiver and corner. So he's got a lot of talent and a lot of potential, and I feel like he can only get better from here.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, let's head over to Wheat Swamp, where North Lenoir, for the first time since 2008, won their season opener. They defeated East Columbus 20-6. That was their first season opening victory since 2008, and only the third since 2000. That was the first time schools had ever met. But here's a neat little nugget I think you're going to like. And you were at the game last week.
I was.
They extended. Okay, I should ask you this first. Guess who? Well, I'm going to give it away now. But guess who has a county record for the longest streak of not getting shut out?
Kinston?
No, it's North Lenoir.
Wow.
They are currently in it right now. They extended the county record of longest streak of non-shutout games to 48. That dates back to October 17th, 20-14. It was a 54-0 loss to GC or to Green Central then. But I tell you what, listen, did we not say it last week? This
did.
North Lenoir team is for real this year. I mean, I really sincerely feel like they are for real. I told you I picked them to finish 4th in the Eastern Carolina 2A. They didn't prove me wrong at all, did they?
The thing about North Lenoir last week, what they did, they ran the ball, and they ran it extremely well. Najee Kuntz, I cannot remember the other guy's name, and I apologize right now, but the running attack was absolutely amazing. You know, they only threw the ball. In fact, they didn't throw the ball at all last week. East Columbus only 3 or 4 times in their own right, but they controlled the time of possession. They were I don't think they had a turnover, and they were just very efficient with it.
And you didn't have a lightning delay last week, did you?
Not one.
I can tell you 2 people who are sitting here with you right now that are pretty upset about that, because I had a game that had a combined, I believe, 60 passes attempted or close to it. And I had a 45-minute lightning delay. You were at South Lenoir. We're going to talk about that game here up next. How long was your delay?
Our delay was about 45 minutes.
Wow. So we had about the same. So he's walking off the field. We're starting the second half.
Meanwhile, I need to go ahead and make an apology. I remember the running back, Jaden Kilpatrick. I apologize, man. I apologize.
Very good. Okay, well, that was a 20-6 win for East Columbus. North Duplin and South Lenoir played. South Lenoir went to Calypso. I just love saying Calypso, Rudy. And South Lenoir lost to North Duplin 22-0. They were shut out in the season opener for the first time since when the Devils lost 41-0 at Harold's Christian about 7 years ago. It's the 9th time they've been shut out in a season opener. South Lenoir is now 8-10 all-time against North Duplin in a series that dates back to 1965. And Rudy, as old as you and I are, neither one of us were alive in 1965.
No, we weren't.
Tell me a little bit about that game last week.
The one thing that really I walked away impressed was with the fact that South Lenoir played great defense the entire game, forced a couple of turnovers, made 2 great stops in the red zone, kept North Duplin off balance in a way. The only bad part of the game really was the fact that South Lenoir kind of offensively in the first half wasn't very good. They were great in the second half, kind of sputtered, a couple of false start penalties, set them back. They weren't able to do anything with the possessions because of that. And in the first half, North Duplin had a lot of short fields, and that's why they were able to build the lead early and walk in like they did with the 22-0 lead at halftime. But the field kind of flipped in the second half, and when it did, you could see what South Lenoir was capable of doing. I mean, they've got a good running game, they've got a good passing game. The passes were a little bit off, but I think that'll come in time. It's like Jeremy said, he's got a young team, but he's got some talent. He likes what he's got in the locker room, and they've just got to get through those growing pains.
Absolutely. Tell me this: how many kids were out there for South Lenoir? I know that's that's something that Coach Joyner has really done a good job of getting players out there. What was his numbers like last week?
His numbers were good. I'm guessing I saw probably 30, 32 in uniform. I mean, he definitely had some subs on the sidelines if you need them. He's got there's a little bit of size there too. Well,
we've got a couple of tough games. Let's bounce through these last 5. We had 8 games last week, guys.
Yeah.
8 games in our area. What a tough loss for Parrott Academy.
Man.
They're up 21-14 going into the fourth quarter of last week's game. They end up losing at 22-21 to Rocky Mount Prep in an 11-man game. It's the second 11-man game that they have played in the last couple of years. They gave up that fourth quarter touchdown and a 2-point conversion to lose the first meeting between the programs in that 11-man game. They lost the season opener for the second year in a row, and that's the first time since 2011 and 2012 that has happened, Junius.
And you know what? Again, It's an 11-man game. I know it's not going to count as much as far as the NCAA SAA is concerned, but I know that they're competitors. Matt Beeman, he's not somebody that likes to take losses anyway. So
another very, very well. I'll tell you what. Let's bounce on this one real quick. Bethel defeated Pungo. I like saying Pungo too. Okay, they defeated Pungo last week, 64-0, meaning the last 2 years Bethel has defeated Pungo a combined 118-0. What do you have? You had a real interesting stat when we were getting ready. Tell me that one.
Well, Josh Sutton, and he was somebody I was considering for athlete of the week, but Dimitri Holmes was just absolutely spectacular. But Josh Sutton, 5 carries, I believe 197 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick 6.
Josh, I'm going to tell you this. If you're watching this right now, your average has nowhere to go but down. Okay, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You're averaging almost 40 yards a carry through the first game of the season. He's not going to keep that up, is he, Rudy? No, absolutely
not at all.
Another tough game last week. I think all of us like Jay Wilson here. We're big Jay Wilson fans over at Green Central. And for the second year in a row, Green Central plays South Central. They lead in the fourth quarter, yet they lose 29-28.
This is the second consecutive year that Green Central had a 14-point lead against the Falcons and just weren't able to sustain it.
It's also the third straight year in a row that Green Central's lost the season opener all to South Central. Aiden Grifton played Chocowinity Southside. That was Monday, right? Didn't they finish that up on Monday?
That was Monday.
Yeah, and they beat them 20-0.
I was at that game, and both teams had trouble moving the ball offensively. But what sparked Aiden Grifton, Michael Webb, who was a spectacular athlete, he had a 72-yard kickoff return to start the third quarter, and then for a touchdown. And then after that, Aiden Grifton kept the defense up. There was a spectacular one-handed catch by Deshaun Cox, and they were able to get a couple of short touchdowns.
Very good. And then the last game of the week, last week, poor Jones Sr. Jones Sr. riding a 22-game losing streak going into last week's game at Lejeune, playing a Lejeune team that had lost 33 in a row. Lejeune wins 63-0 last week, and I hope that's not a scene of what is to come for the Trojans this year, but I'm a little bit afraid, especially with their numbers. Are they up to 20 players yet?
I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
And I went to Jones Senior early this week to do a back-to-school story, and I talked to a couple of the players and everything, and morale is still high, which I'm definitely liking that, but it's definitely going to be tough, especially if you're not able to get those numbers.
Absolutely. Well, so those were the scores from last week's games. Kinston 40-14 over Farmville Central. North Lenoir 20-6 over East Columbus. South Lenoir lost 22-0 at North Duplin. Parrott lost that tough 22-21 game to Rocky Mount Prep. Bethel won 64-0 over Pungo. South Central defeated Green Central 29-28. Aiden Grifton 20-0 over Southside. And then, as we said, Lejeune 63-0 over Jones Sr. We're going to pivot this way now. We're going to talk to our good friend Rudy Coggins, who joined us a couple of weeks ago. And Rudy, you have a very unique perspective of Eastern North Carolina athletics. What I've always admired about you, I mean, I don't mind saying that, we worked at the Free Press, you worked at the Goldsboro News Argus,
right,
and we had a really good relationship, and that's
Absolutely.
what I always enjoyed from the minute I met you.
Right.
We were talking about that before we came on, too. I met you at a North Lenoir playoff volleyball game in October of 2002. It was the first time I met you. North Lenoir had lost their playoff game, and what I really liked about it was, and I just thought it was really classy, just a line of girls come out of the North Lenoir locker room, including Coach Heather. She was Humphrey then, Coach Heather Humphrey, now
right.
Heather
Carson.
See, I still call her Heather Humphrey. Sorry about that, Coach Humphrey, or Coach Carson.
You better get in trouble.
I am going to get in trouble. But what I really liked about that was not all of them, but 4 or 5 girls came out. They hugged you, Coach Heather, I guess I can get away with that. Coach Heather hugged you too. And I really appreciate that. You could tell that these were athletes that appreciated the coverage that you gave them then. And like I said, my respect grew for you that day. It's only grown since then. What do you attribute your success as a sports writer to?
I think it's just a fairness. I mean, boys sports always gets to pub, but girls sports hardly ever gets to pub. Mm-hmm. And I've seen girl athletes just work harder and at what they do. Mm-hmm. And, for me, it was like, I understand you've got the big 3, football, basketball, baseball, but, you got quality kids playing volleyball, girls basketball, softball, but you got wrestling, you got swimming. And one of the things that I wanted to do was just make sure that I gave everyone as much equal ink as I could possibly do, because I mean, their sports are just as worthy as publicity as the others are.
Well, I can tell you, as someone who's worked in this county for 17 years, and he can probably tell you, you've been here 6 years, 5 years?
Well, doing sports for 4 years.
Well, there you go. Your reputation in Lenore County is pretty strong. It's very strong. I mean, I know, especially down on the south side of the county, the folks love you. Well, what is, and there's so many questions I can ask you. We've only got about 4 more minutes that we can talk about this, but I've got to ask you this. If you ask me my favorite memory of my time here, I can instantly tell you, so I'm going to put your feet to the fire. Your favorite Lenore County memory. Now, I know you've got some good Wayne County memories. See, you like that? What is your favorite Lenore County sports memory of the time since you've been here in the time that you've been here?
I think it would have to be the night that I went down to Pender and watched North Lenore's volleyball team take Pender. At that time, they were one of the top teams in the state. In order for you to go to the state final, you had to get through Pender County, one way or the other. And I have never seen a volleyball team fight as hard as North Lenore fought that night and played extremely well. And forgive me, I can't remember the outcome. I want to say Pender won, but I can't remember the outcome. If North Lenore won, I'm sorry, Heather. But that to me is probably one of the things that I remember the most. And the other memory I remember the most is when North Lenore won its state championship in softball. Heather was the head coach then. Her sister, I think Hermia, was on that team.
Yeah, she was a pitcher.
She was a pitcher, but the pitcher that won the game for him was Morgan Worthington. And she had the most
Wait a minute. He's got your kind of memory, dude.
And she had the most god-awful drop pitch that, I mean, when it came in, you looked like you were going to take it out of the park.
Yeah.
No, it dropped off the table, and opposing players were going back to the bench with a K by their name in the book. I mean, she was that effective. But but those probably are the two best memories that I have, because just to see the excitement, and had never seen Heather that excited like I saw her that day. And so I guess those would probably be the two memories.
Okay, well, I guess my two biggest Lenore County memories, I'm going to do one for the boys and one for the girls. For the boys, it was that great ride that Kinston had in football in 2015. Yeah. And I'll never forget when they played Southwest Edgecombe, and they were hurting for most of the game. They were trailing for most of the game. Were able to get back, force overtime. I remember Bailey Blake, the kicker, wound up getting a crucial extra point in the fourth quarter to tie the game, and then she got the extra point in overtime. And then Edgecombe actually went for the 2-point conversion, but that defense led by guys like Daquan Waters and Jaquar Artis, they were able to stop the ball carrier and win, and just seeing everybody just go crazy. I think Quentin Copels was at the game. I posted a video and it almost went viral. I mean, it just the joy of Kinston having in the midst of their best season ever. I mean, they went 15-0 that year, and it was just tremendous. And then for the girls, it would be paired volleyball from last year, because I remember in 2017 I went to go cover that team when they went to go play Asheville Christian at High Point, and they won the first 2 sets and wound up losing the last 3 in the championship game. So for a team that had went undefeated, it was just a lot of heartbreak, especially for the seniors who that was their last chance. So last year they came back, had an undefeated regular season, and then this time around they were up 2-1 against Caldwell Academy, lost the 4th set. So you had that doubt kind of creeping in a little bit, but they won that 5th set 15-4, basically left no doubt, and just had the first ever not only first undefeated volleyball season, but first volleyball championship in school history. And it was just an unbelievable feeling for a lot of those players that returned from last year.
Well, the great Aletha Thrower has thrown us a question. Like how I did that, Aletha Thrower. Okay. That came from online. If you do have any questions as you're watching, just don't hesitate. Go ahead and pop us with them here in the comments. We'll do our best to go ahead and answer them as well we can. And this is one I want all 3 of us to attack, and I'll go first. But the question was, what team do you think is going to be the dark horse of the East Carolina 2A this year? Well, you know who I'm taking. It's North Lenore, and I think North Lenore proved it last week. And in my defense, I'm not just getting on the bandwagon right now. I said this going into last week. I think they're going to finish 4th in the conference. I think, if anything, they proved last week they are going to be a team to contend with. And they were tough last year. I mean, that's one of the things we talked about last week too, Rudy, was that here's a North Lenore team that had 4 games that they lost in the fourth quarter last year that they could have won. They could have gone 4-6 last year. I think they're better than last year, so I think they're going to finish
definitely.
4th. That's my dark horse. What about you?
I'm gonna have to go Green Central now.
Okay.
Even though they lost to South Central, again, it was a 1-point loss. It was the second straight year that they held a 14-point lead to South Central, lost, and that South Central team had an undefeated regular season last year. So South Central is good. So if Green Central can get over that, if they can just keep that momentum going after putting that loss to the back burner, they have the potential to have a very good season.
Very good. I said North Lenore. He said Green Central. Who's your dark horse in the Eastern Carolina 2A football race this year, Rudy?
Well, I know Kinston was picked to win the conference, but there's a team down in Vanceboro called West Craven that year in and year out has just athletes after athletes after athletes. And I think once they turn that around, they could be a dark horse as well. But I'm going to go with another dark horse if I can. I like Green Central as well.
Wow.
I really do.
Okay.
I remember the years when Spence Grantham and Jim Bob were head coach there, and it was running back as you and I were talking about the other day. And I really think if they play true to form, they've got the opportunity to win this conference and maybe do a little bit of damage in the playoffs.
Well, very good. And I tell you what, with the energy and just the knowledge and everything that Jay Wilson brings to that program, that can't do anything but help. I tell you what, 30 seconds or less, talk about putting your feet to the fire. I'm going to do to him what I did to you last week. How do you think the Eastern Carolina is going to finish this year, 1-7?
1-7. You'll have to help me here a little
Okay.
bit. I think it'll be Kinston.
Yeah.
Probably Aiden Grifton be second.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Green Central third, North Lenore. Washington and West Craven are going to fight for that 5th and 6th spot. And Jeremy, love you to death, but your boys have got some growing to do, and unfortunately I pick you 7th. And if I may add one thing, going back to the Kinston Southwest Edgecombe game, Southwest Edgecombe's my alma mater.
It is.
I did not know that.
It is,
And
and
that game broke my heart because I was sitting in the stands watching that game.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
that
one of
weird
the better
school
high
that
school games I've
capitalizes the
seen.
W in Southwest Edgecombe when it should be lowercase.
You know what? And I've been putting it lowercase for years, and
Yeah.
now I know.
Well, I always avoid that just by doing the SW, and
Right.
just do it that way. I can't believe we're talking about this playoff game for 2015, but the last thing I'm going to say as we're getting tight on time here, the thing I remember most about that game was when Bailey Blake attempted an extra point, and then the Southwest guys just ran over her, and almost a melee occurred on the field after that play. Do you
yeah.
remember that? I mean, I walk the sideline. I'm not like you.
Hey, you know what?
Guys who stay up in the press box. I think I'm down there with the players and everybody. But I mean, it was literally 25 feet in front of me or 30 feet in front of me when they hit her, and I have never seen a team of 50 Kinston guys rise as one, and I really thought there was going to be a bad fight on the field that night. So anyway, let's look at this week's games real quick. We have 2 Thursday games this week. Now, I did look. I hope I'm right. I know we had different start times last week. Every game is supposed to be at 7 o'clock this week, right?
I believe so.
I did look them up. That's what it says on Max Preps. Now, we know people who depend on Max Preps way, way, way too much. But that's what it says on Max Preps is 7 o'clock start time for all these. But the Thursday games, we've got Jones Senior at South Lenore, CB Aycock at Green Central. That's on Thursday. Then on Friday, North Pitt is at Kinston, North Lenore is at Farmville Central, Parrott is at Beargrass Charter, and another 11-man game for the Patriots. And then Aiden Grifton is at Pamlico. Bethel Christian Academy is off this week. So let's jump into these games. We got about 7 minutes left to go here, so let's breeze through these real quick. And I'm just going to throw it the ball. Tell you what, I'm going to make this real interesting. I'm going to give my little background stuff. You've got 15 seconds. You've got 15 seconds for your thoughts on those games. Jones Senior is 0-1. We know what happened to them last week at Lejeune. South Lenore is 0-1. Both teams were shut out. South Lenore is 8-7 all time against Jones Senior in a series that ran from 69 to 72, 99 to 2001, 2007 to 2010, and from 2015 to the present. Both teams are coming off shutout losses, 22-0 to North Duplin for South Lenore, and 63-0 to Lejeune for Jones Senior. South Lenore opened the 2018 season with a 20-12 win against Jones Senior and is going for their 3rd straight win against the Trojans.
And they're going to get it. I mean, Jeremy can pretty much dictate what the score is going to be.
I agree. I think South Lenore will win it.
Okay, the other Thursday night game, and who's covering that? Jones Senior, South Lenore. Are you doing that one?
I'm doing that one, and Rudy is going to be covering CB Aycock and Green
That's
Central.
where we were going next. CB Aycock is 1-0. They are at Green Central, who is 0-1. This will be Jay Wilson's home debut as the head football coach of the Rams. And this is the neat thing. As old as you and I are, we're not as old as this series is, which is amazing. This is the 56th straight year that CB Aycock and Green Central have met. The first time was in 1964. Green Central is 39-15-1 all-time against Aycock, including last year's 38-35 win in Pikeville. Green Central has won 5 straight in this series. CB Aycock defeated Goldsboro Rosewood 41-26 last week. And we'll go, since you're covering the game, we'll go to you first. Your thoughts?
I have one name for you, Clay Matthews. He's the quarterback for CB Aycock. Has overcome one of the most gruesome injuries I think I ever saw last year that he suffered in the Goldsboro game. This kid's a gunslinger. Okay. You're going to see CB Aycock throw the ball all over the football field.
Okay.
You know what? I feel like Green Central is going to be able to get this one. I mean, home debut for Jay Wilson. The team's going to be fired up. They've always struggled against one set of Falcons in South Central. They'll have a chance to have a good game against another set.
Very good. That's the 2 Thursday night games. Then on Friday night, we have 4 games that night. The first one is North Pitt, who is 0-1. They're at Kinston, who is 1-0. North Pitt lost 31-0 to Washington on Monday. Now, that's sort of an advantage for Kinston. They played on Friday. North Pitt actually played on Monday, lost 31-0. As you know, Kinston won 40-14 against Farmville Central last week. Now, here's an interesting stat for you. Kinston is 10-0 all-time against North Pitt. They have never lost to them. They played in 2003 and 04, 2009 through 12, and 2015 to the present. Kinston beat North Pitt 26-6 last year in Bethel. Your thoughts? You're covering this one too, right?
I'm actually not. Leica is going to be covering this one.
Leica Beebe, very good.
I feel like this could be a trap game for Kinston. Usually when they play North Pitt, the games are pretty close. Like the last time that they played in Kinston, North Pitt hung with them, had a 6-0 lead at halftime, and wound up on losing 19-12. Mm-hmm. So I feel like Kinston will be able to maintain the streak 11-0 and be 11-0 against North Pitt. But if they don't take it seriously, it's going to be closer than people imagine.
Very good. Rudy?
Trap games are always dangerous. I agree with you on that, but I think Kinston's they're going to go 11-0 in the series.
Very good. North Lenoir is 1-0. We've not been able to say that for 11 years, but North Lenoir is 1-0. They're at Farmville Central, who is 0-1. North Lenoir has lost 9 straight times to the Jaguars, and they are 1-19 all time against Farmville Central. That series is run from 1971 to 1980, 2005 to 2008, and 2013 to the present. The Hawks' only win against Farmville came in a 35-24 win in Eastern Plains 2A play on October 10th, 2005. The head coach of North Lenoir then was?
Wayne Jackson.
There you go, Wayne Jackson. Last year, Farmville Central escaped with a 21-14 win in Wheat Swamp. The last time, you and I were looking this up last week, and we were so excited about it. Last time North Lenoir started 2-0 in a season was actually in 2008, but they ended up finishing 3-8 that season. But your thoughts, North Lenoir at Farmville Central?
If this is the year that North Lenoir beats Farmville Central, this will be it. Now, 2 of the past 3 years, it had been by a 7-point decision. You had the 21-14 game last year and then 14-7 2 years ago. 2 years prior to that. Now, the one thing that I do worry a little bit, Farmville Central was able to kind of corral Kinston's running game. Kinston had 35 carries for 102 yards, I believe, so that's about a 2.9 yards per carry average. And
he doesn't even have this here in front. How do you remember that? But go ahead.
I was doing research prior to it. But North Lenoir, they're going to have to mix up the pass a little bit, I feel.
Very good.
I think this may be a toss-up when you look at it overall. Farmville Central, of course, has they've dominated the series, but Farmville's not been Farmville for the last few years as far as football goes, and you know that community eats, sleeps, lives, and breathes it. But I think North Lenoir is going to go 2-0.
Hey, okay, real quick, this yes or no. Has Farmville become a basketball town? It used to be a football town. It's become a basketball town, hasn't it?
Well, Farmville was a basketball town before it became a football town. So now it's back to a basketball town, so yes.
Very good. Our last 2 games, let's breeze through these. Parrott Academy is 0-1 there at Beargrass Charter up near Williamston. Parrott is 0-1. Beargrass Charter is 0-1. Parrott lost last week, as we know. Beargrass Charter lost last week 38-14 to Robersonville South Creek. Parrott did defeat Beargrass Charter last week in last year in an 11-man contest, 25-6. Real quick.
It's 25-8, but I feel like Parrott will get back on the right track against Beargrass.
I think Parrott wants to win. They want to redeem themselves from last week, and so I think they'll come out on top.
Very good. And the last game is Aiden Grifton is 1-0. They're at Pamlico, who is 0-1. And I think this is going to be a game that Aiden Grifton's going to have a good chance of winning again.
Oh, without question. I know Pamlico, they beat Aiden Grifton last year on their way to the fourth round of the 1A state playoffs. Aiden Grifton is not going to take that line down.
Absolutely.
Pamlico they actually won the East last year and played for the state championship, if I remember right. I think this is going to be a good test for Aiden Grifton. If the Chargers come out on this one, I think it's going to give them some momentum they need. But I think Pamlico is going to be a little bit hungry for a win too, so I'm going to go with the Hurricanes.
Very good. Well, last week's picks. Now he and I are doing this every week. We're going to get your picks in too. But I went 6-2 last week. Junius went 4-4. So.
1 point games, man.
There you go. Jones Senior, South Lenore.
South Lenore.
South Lenore.
CBA Cock at Green Central.
Give me green.
Green.
All three of us are in agreement with both of those. Our Friday night games: North Pitt at Kinston.
Kinston.
North Lenore at Farmville Central.
I'm gonna go with North Lenore.
North Lenore.
I'll take the Hawks.
Very good. Why are we're agreeing on everything?
I don't know
Parrott
why.
Academy and Beargrass Charter.
That's Parrott.
I'm saying Parrott.
Parrott.
Wow. Aiden Grifton at Pamlico.
Aiden Grifton.
Aiden Grifton.
Hurricanes.
We had one disagreement.
Okay,
That is
fine.
awesome. That is awesome. Listen, we want to thank our sponsors one more time for sponsoring today's game. I'm in radio mode. For sponsoring today's show. Lenore Community College's Quick Jobs program provides training so you can get to work in less than 6 months. And because LCC partners with area employees, you can not only find a job, but Junius, you can find a new lifelong career.
That would be awesome. Jobs currently in demand include heating, ventilation and air conditioning, electrical wiring, energy distribution systems, manufacturing, truck driving training, and welding.
Tuition assistance may be available as well as nationally recognized credentials. It's a new year and a new you. Rudy Coggins, let LCC empower you to get the job and career you've always hoped for.
So to learn about Quick Jobs, call 252-527-6223, extension 714, or enroll at lenorecc.edu/quickjobs.
And how much do I love Rudy Coggins? I'm going to let him do the KC Crops read.
Go ahead.
KC Crop Insurance is here to serve all your crop insurance needs. With over 50 years of combined experience, we take pride in excellent customer service. Give the KC Crop Insurance Service Team a call at 252-522-9613. That's 252-522-9613. And tell them the gang from the Neuse sent you.
Very good.
And listen, if you haven't subscribed to the Neuse newsletter, please do that. We put it out every morning, 7 a.m. through the email. It's full of the headlines from today and days in the future. So please go out to neusenews.com and click that subscribe button.
Very good. And our very last sponsor, we'd like to thank BJ Murphy and the SM3 Summit. If you're an entrepreneur, a social media manager, or a marketing professional, you need to be at the SM3 Social Media Summit in Kinston on October the 5th. Thank you. We have speakers from across the state who will talk about how to go viral with your videos, how to sell, and how to market your brand, creating a social media calendar, and more. If you want to register for this, because let me tell you something, BJ Murphy has put together a crew that's going to be here for that.
Oh, yeah.
So be sure to sign up for it. You go to sm3summit.com. Again, that's sm3summit.com. Thank you so much for watching this. We want to thank Dr. Travis Town, who is the executive producer for this show, Parker Mitchell, the associate producer, BJ Murphy, Aletha Thrower, and Brandon Potter, of course. Don't forget, on Friday night, use hashtag Neuse Scores. Well, not just on Friday night, on Thursday night, too. You will be able to see every score of every game that's in our Neuse News area, because myself, Junius Smith III, Rudy Coggins, Laika Abibi. I'm sorry, Laika Abibi. Who is anybody else covering for us Friday night?
No, that's it.
That'll be it for this week. Listen, thank you so much for watching this. I want to thank Junius Smith III. I want to thank my good friend Rudy Coggins for being on the show. Thank you for watching this. Be sure, share this on your page. We'd love to see this all over Facebook the next couple of days. Thank you for watching this. We'll see you next week here on the